Welcome to Talking Miles.
Great to be here.
So, I was just walking through the city this morning, headphones on, trying to dodge traffic, check my email, and ignore like 3 different billboards screaming at me.
The usual morning routine.
Right? And I had this moment where I just wanted to, well, unplug. Not just put the phone on silent, but unplug from the entire frequency.
Yeah, it's the noise. And I don't just mean the actual decibels of the city. I mean the signal-to-noise ratio of modern life. It feels like the static is just taking over everything.
Exactly. And normally when we talk about this on a deep dive, the advice is, oh, go do a digital detox or, go camping for a weekend. But the sources we're digging into today, for you, the listener, they aren't about taking a quick vacation.
No, they're about a migration.
Yeah. We are talking about a concept called the quiet circle.
The quiet circle. It sounds really poetic, right? Almost soft. But when you actually dig into the research and the specific models we have here, it's surprisingly rigorous.
Very rigorous.
It's less of a meditation retreat and much more of a survival strategy for the human soul in this age of algorithmic overload.
That is a massive claim. So, to set the table for you, we are looking at a stack of sources that synthesize a few different things. We've got conversations about human disconnection. We've got historian Yuval Noah Harari's take on religion and storytelling.
Which is fascinating. Wow.
Oh, absolutely. And we've got specific blueprints for these things called intentional groups powered by AI.
Right. And the mission of this deep dive is to explore if there is a real third option. Because option A is stay in the noise, option B is go live in a cave. This research proposes an option C.
Which is building small, empathy-first communities, roughly 50 people, right?
Yeah, around 50. Communities that use technology to protect their humanity rather than, sell it to the highest bidder.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
But before we get to the solution, these 50-person tribes, we have to look at the diagnosis. And the sources use a phrase that honestly gave me goosebumps. They call it heart on mute.
Heart on mute. It's such a striking image.
Yeah.
The core problem the authors identify is that we have more communication channels than ever, but the emotional bandwidth is totally clashed.
Right.
If you look at older generations, communication had friction. You had to physically go see someone. You shared silence with them. A hand on a shoulder communicated more than 1,000 quick texts ever could.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second here, though, because is that really so bad? I mean, I love that I can order dinner without talking to anyone. I love working from home and skipping the office small talk. Is heart on mute a crisis, or is it just efficiency?
That is the big question. Efficiency is amazing for transactions. It is absolutely terrible for human relationships. The sources argue we've basically applied the logic of a vending machine to human interaction.
Yeah.
We want it fast, cheap, and we want to be able to walk away the exact second we get what we want.
Which brings us right to ghosting.
Exactly. Ghosting in the dating world is efficient. You lose interest, you just stop responding. Simple.
But the psychological toll on the other person is immense because you're treating them as completely disposable.
Yes. And here is where the sources make a really massive leap. They say this isn't just a dating problem. It's a corporate problem.
You mean like those massive Zoom layoffs?
Precisely. When a CEO fires thousands of people on a pre-recorded video or with a generic email that is hard on mute at a macro scale, it's the exact same mechanism. It says you are a line item, you are a tool. I don't need the tool anymore, so back in the box you go.
Wow. That is pretty bleak. But I definitely see the connection. The sources describe this overall societal vibe where civility is eroding and it just creates this background hum of anxiety.
Because everyone feels disposable. So the question becomes, how do we get here? How are we so isolated when we're technically so connected? And this is where the sources bring in Harari.
Right, Yuval Noah Harari. Sapiens was a huge cultural moment. But how does a historian fit into modern tech loneliness?
Harari helps us understand the underlying software of society. His central thesis is that humans run on stories. You can't get 1,000 chimpanzees to cooperate, they'll just fight. But you can get 1 billion humans to cooperate if they all believe the exact same story.
Stories like money or laws.
Or religion. Now, keeping in mind Harari is a secular historian, he looks at religion as a shared fiction, a myth that allows strangers to cooperate. And he analyzes why Christianity won out and became dominant.
And according to the source, it wasn't necessarily because it was philosophically the best, right?
Right, it had the best sales pitch. In a really brutal ancient world, Christianity offered unconditional love from a creator and eternal salvation. It's a pitch that says, you matter, you are loved.
That is an irresistible offer when life is cheap and hard. But if those are the old myths, religion, the nation state, the corporate ladder, it feels like those are crumbling now.
They are. And human nature abhors a vacuum. People are starving for a place where they belong. So the sources point out that people are naturally clustering into what they call micro-religions.
Which sounds a bit like cults.
It can be, but usually it's super mundane. Think about a really intense Discord server, or a subreddit dedicated to a niche video game, or a specific diet. They have their own language, their own saints, their own excommunication rituals. They're trying to fill that void.
But the source mentions something here about AI that honestly freaked me out. Harari's warning about AI becoming a prophet.
Yes, it's a terrifying thought experiment. If an AI can understand your psychology better than you do, and it can write scripture or poetry that perfectly resonates with your deepest fears and hopes, what happens?
It could literally write new Bibles for people.
Exactly. Harari warns we could fracture into thousands of semi-sovereign realities, micro-cults led by AI. We'd stop living in the same shared world entirely.
Okay, so that is path A, the dark timeline where we all silo off into AI echo chambers. But the sources highlight another reaction happening right now. They call it the Great Departure.
This ties right back to the corporate disposability we talked about. For decades, the dominant myth was the career. Work hard, climb the ladder, get the gold watch.
But people are realizing the ladder is broken. So you're seeing high-skilled people, coders, engineers just walking away. Not just mass unemployment, but a deliberate refusal to play the game.
They are tired of the ruthless environment. And they're realizing they can build their own tools now. You don't need a massive CEO ego or a Fortune 500 company to build great software anymore.
Right, the shift from asking permission to live and work to just doing it with a small crew. Which brings us to the core solution of today's deep dive, the 50-person tribe.
The intentional group. Let's talk about that specific number, 50.
Yeah, why 50? Why not 100? Why not 10?
It comes down to cognitive limits. Dunbar's number says we can maintain about 150 stable relationships. But 150 is still a crowd. 50 is a village.
So it's the sweet spot for trust.
Exactly. Small enough for intimacy, but big enough for diverse skills. If you have 10 people and your only doctor gets sick, you're in trouble. In a group of 50, you have redundancy. You have a farmer, a coder, a nurse.
But the foundation of this isn't just utility. The sources emphasize that empathy is non-negotiable here. The whole philosophy is, we'll still be here if you come back. It's not about punishing mistakes like a corporation does.
It's a restorative model.
Hmm.
But they still need to get things done, right? They can't just sit in a drum circle talking about feelings all day. And that is where the technology comes in as an amplifier.
This was the biggest surprise for me in the research. These tribes are not Luddites. They use AI extensively, but they use local, privacy-focused AI, not cloud AI.
Right. They aren't sending their data to OpenAI or Google.
Explain the difference for me and the listener. Why does local AI matter so much for these groups?
Think of cloud AI as a public library, where the librarian follows you around, writes down every single book you touch, and sells that list to advertisers. You get the knowledge, but you pay with your privacy.
Great B.
Local AI is like downloading the entire library onto a server in your basement. You can ask it anything, health issues, financial fears, and it cannot phone home. It's a closed system.
So it acts as a caretaker, not a boss or a spy. The sources give some amazing specific examples of how these tribes actually operate day to day. Let's look at the singers and musicians example first.
Yeah, so imagine a singer in the tribe has a raw throat. The local AI analyzes their historical vocal health data and suggests a very specific remedy.
Like a warm honey lemon ginger tea, adjusted for their specific allergies. And no health data goes to the cloud.
Exactly, but it gets even wilder with the farmers. This blew my mind. The closed-loop agriculture.
Oh, this was straight out of sci-fi.
So the tribe is growing their own food. The local AI uses sensors to track the soil and weather, but it connects that to the anonymized blood work trends of the 50 people in the tribe.
So if the AI notices the group is trending low on iron,
it tells the farmer to plant more kale this season. The AI connects human biological needs directly to planting decisions.
That is incredible. The system takes care of the group autonomously. What about the painters or creatives?
Say an artist has creative block. The local AI tracks the collective energy through mood check-ins. It might suggest they take a break or collaborate with someone specific. And they use local instances of image generators like Stable Diffusion to brainstorm.
Right, because doing it locally means there are no copyright issues, and their unique artistic style isn't being scraped by a massive corporation.
It's a tool entirely under their control. And finally, the nurses and caregivers. Burnout prevention is huge here.
Healthcare workers are so exhausted today. How does the tribe fix that?
The AI monitors sleep logs and stress levels. If it predicts a flare-up, say a caregiver has had 3 brutal shifts, it intervenes. It says you need a rest day, the schedule is adjusting automatically.
That is the complete opposite of hard on mute. The system is designed to care for the human, not extract maximum labor from them.
But naturally, you might wonder, do these groups just become isolated doomsday bunkers?
That was my exact thought. Do we just get 50 isolated bunkers fighting over resources?
The sources address this through the philosophy of connection. Intergroup trade. These tribes act as bridges. They connect with other groups based on shared values.
So they aren't just trading physical goods, but knowledge.
Exactly. One tribe trades their vocal health protocols for another tribe's farming algorithm. It's a trade deal rooted in care, not just profit.
And in this future, big tech companies like Google or IBM, they just become background noise. They handle the plumbing, the raw infrastructure. But the actual meaningful life happens inside these small circles.
Because intimacy cannot sail. An algorithm can mimic a voice, but it cannot fake a shared silence or a real laugh.
We really are at a fork in the road, aren't we?
We are. It's the choice. Path A is the cold path. Silos. Everyone retreats into their own micro-realities, staring at screens, completely isolated.
And path B is the warm path, bridges. We use this advanced tech to handle the logistics so we can focus on actually being human with each other.
The tech gets out of the way.
The sources define the quiet circle not as actual silence, but as the opposite of noise. It's about love that doesn't need likes, subscriptions, or firewalls.
It's a beautiful way to frame it.
And it leaves you with a thought I want you, the listener, to really mull over. What if your true legacy isn't your career or how many followers you had? What if your legacy is simply the 50 people who know the sound of your breathing and knowing that you built a structure where you don't have to be productive to be loved?
Just showing up is enough. No ads, no sponsors. Just a voice saying, you are not alone.
It's a powerful vision of the future. In today's episode, we cover the loss of empathy, the 50-person tribe, and the choice between silos and bridges, and end with thank you for listening. See you next time.
We are noonwave.com for you.